try and change like first impressions or something.
How about Chatty Cathy?
That's great.
Just have to change your name and not the podcast.
My mom used to go by Kathy, so that would be weird.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you ever bang that chick from Philly?
I did not. I should have hit her up. I was just in Philly like last weekend.
Doing what?
I was featuring for at this place called Victoria Free House. So it was just like a bar show, but I got an extra time and a little bit of money. So
No, that's great, dude.
Yeah.
I never heard of it, but I mean, there's shit in New York. Half the shit I've never heard of.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically just a bar show, but it was still fun.
Oh,
That's
there we
right.
go.
All that's good.
It was 20 years ago today that Sergeant Pepper taught the band to play. And they've been going in and out of style, but they're guaranteed to raise a smile. So may I introduce to you the act you've known for all these years, Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Oh!
All right, welcome to Group Chat, everybody. My name is Robbie Goodwin, your host with the most. I'm here with the always prompt Geno Bisconte.
I was late upon late today. I doubled down on being late today.
You know him from the Artie Lange podcast.
Yes, I just did that.
Halfway House.
Yes.
Almost Dead with Artie Lange, I think it's
It
called.
should be called.
Yeah. In Hot Water, he is a very, very funny comedian and a great guy. Geno Bisconte is here.
Hey, buddy.
How you doing, man?
I'm very well. How are you, man?
Good. How's life?
It's keeping me busy. You know?
Yeah.
Like, whenever people say, how have you been, that I haven't seen in a while, I'm always like, let me get you caught up. And I say, done.
Yeah.
Done, because nothing. And you know what I'm learning, Robbie? And I'm realizing this. And what's the producer's name?
Spencer.
Spencer. You kept calling him fucking. You know what I'm learning? It really is, because it's a group chat. It really defines a person. Because someone pointed out, and I just assume everyone's like nuts like me and very enthusiastic and everything.
Yeah.
But like sometimes I'll be like nothing, and I'll stop, man, and someone will make a face like, oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Because they're just they're half empty kind of people. And they're like, oh, that's too bad. And then I have to explain. No, it's I wake up every day waiting for someone to walk in and be like, you can't get away with this anymore. You
Right.
can't possibly get away.
Yeah.
With waking up and doing a show with Aaron Berg and having your friends like you drop by to be stupid.
Yeah.
And then write jokes about sports at night. And I just can't underscore. Like comics said, like that's incredible, because it'd be one thing. And I it's not like I ever was offered a job for a writer on Comedy Central or NBC and turned it down.
Mm-hmm.
But when you hear these things, like if I wanted to be rich and famous, and I'm realizing I don't, which turns out because I'm not.
Right.
Then sure, you hear these horror stories where you just sit in a writer's room for fucking hours talking, which is fine. Some people love that. That would drive me insane.
Really?
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I like talking to people, but I like being able to come and go as I please. You know what I mean?
You're kind of a true comic. You know, you're like
without the punchlines. A true comic.
Yeah.
If you didn't have punchlines, if you could somehow sustain yourself for decades.
Oh, so you're just a degenerate.
Yes. But for me to be able to take my laptop,
Sure.
and just write 10 to 12 sports stories a night, and by that I just take stories off whatever the popular stories are, and I shrink them down to a page for terrestrial radio DJs or whatever they're called nowadays. They're just interns that they fucking pay $6 an hour and they know how to run a soundboard.
Are they hiring?
I let them know, dude. Somebody the other day said they tweeted. They're like, I can't believe someone stole this bit from Geno and Aaron. It's not important. They're like, I watch that show and brooms are funnier than these guys. And I tweeted to Aaron, we got to get that broom. I just laughed for 20 minutes at my dumb joke. Oh, it's so dumb. That's why I love you, Robbie. It's like telling my nephew a joke. This guy's great. No, it's a broom.
I'm a huge fan of like when dumb I just like love like a Family Guy. My friend. I have a lot of like snobbish like. How can you like Family Guy? It's like, because it makes me laugh. I like dumb.
Oh,
like a guy. Like I had my friend Dalton on. We watched this guy. He just farts on CNN, and that was the whole. It was like that was the best political humor I've seen all year.
Farted so loud.
It was so great.
Another one is I did this joke, and it's stupid. I was doing the SDR podcast, our buddy Ralph, and they had some guy on, this singer, and he's like, well, I'm in AA, and Ralph goes, well, no, and he says to Ralph, he's like, I don't think you're supposed to say it if you're in AA, and he's like, well, let's just
The fuck? I'm sorry, my phone's getting an emergency alert. The podcast is too good.
Is there an Amber Alert?
Yeah, there's something we can do about that. It says Geno Bisconte seen entering the Gotham podcast.
Someone was just rushing the building with their side splitting from the third grade joke. So the guy says,
he says he's wanted for sitting around all day.
Crimes against comedy.
You're like, I can't believe I'm getting away with this.
They finally caught me.
As they come in, it's like the Wolf of Wall Street. How do we get away with this for so long?
I'm back. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. The guy goes. So I'm in let's just say I'm in Schmeye. It sounds like Schmeye.
Yeah.
And I look at the guy and I'm like, you don't look like a schmalcoholic.
Boom.
20 stupid minutes.
I love that shit, though.
Yeah.
Well, it was so funny because, Geno, you took me on the road recently to the Atlantic City Comedy Club.
Right.
And I love that you just did bits just for me. Like, we were in the car and you were like swerving as a bit. You were like, we went to Wawa, you were like roasting the items. You were like, what's this over here? Look at this. What's going on over here?
Because we're hanging out.
Yeah,
dude.
right? I was like, damn it. Like, I love it, but it's like I think maybe Geno deserves more of an audience than just me.
But no, people are like, Geno's always on, and I'm like, I know you think that I'm not. I've always been like this. I always have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Unless I'm going through a really dark time, and then I'm just on cocaine. But I'm always like this.
I wish I was like that because every time I'm at a party, it's always tell me a joke. You're a comedian. I'm very shy and introverted. I'm like, I don't know, like, I have to like work it up to like do a bit. But we went to check into the hotel.
How much fun was that?
And there was like a crowd started forming around Geno because he was doing bits around checking in. He was like, "Oh, this is my card key. What's this? Oh, what are you doing later, sweetheart?"
I do the one joke, and the clerk checking in, the person next to me laughs. I'm like, this guy gets it.
Yeah, the best was she was like, "Oh, this is definitely the comedian." I never get that. They're always like, "Oh, this guy is bringing guns into the hotel."
This guy is the shooter from Las Vegas.
Sorry, we don't have any rooms available at the Mandalay Bay. They always tell me that. I can't get in. Just let me check in. It's a convenient hotel.
You are red flagged, my friend. Yeah. But I was saying something, and it's simply that, like, so that's what I get to do for, like, I could never sit in a writer's room for that long.
Sure.
But I could take my laptop wherever I want, write these stories, and say whatever I want, because I have an editor who's a good friend of mine, and she always said, like, look, just try to go over the line, and try to just go over the line if you're going to be you and edgy, and if you're too far over, I'll let you know. So I can write whatever I want.
That's great.
And never have to worry about being edited. Once a year, I'll get a thing like, she's like, you can't, and I don't care because it's just like the last time I got in trouble was for I'm so hard on Colin Kaepernick. Like, I just think he's disingenuous and blah blah. And the guy's like, well, we have a lot of people in San Francisco that read your sheet, and they know Colin Kaepernick. And then I'm like, all right, and I'll take him down. And the next time, I just wrote an article with the spin was like, like the 3 greatest quarterbacks in football right now. Well, it's weird. They just happen to be black because obviously I'm picking on Colin Kaepernick, who someday may be completely black. But my point is, the 3 greatest guys in football right now, everything that's right about the game, I would argue, are Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, and Russell Wilson. Just everything they do is about their team, about their community, about winning. Like Lamar Jackson is odds-on favorite for the MVP. And whenever someone shoves a microphone in his face trying to, give him adulation and get him to say something, he's like, it's like, on to the next game. He wore a T-shirt at a fucking press conference. And all it says is, nobody cares, work harder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, he couldn't find the socks that depicted cops as pigs on them, or the Fidel Castro Cuba shirt to wear in Miami. These are all things Kaepernick did. I'm getting off topic.
Sure.
But, so anyway, what's my point? So I get paid to do that, write a sheet, and I do stand up, and now I'm starting this new thing that I was telling you about, which hopefully will be great. It's called Hot Mic. Excuse me.
Speaking of hot mic,
there's no cough button, and I think it's a brilliant idea. And I was telling you before the show, it's like I've never been good at going from point A to point B. It's like I don't plan anything. I just show up until something that is made for me finds me, and I'm very excited about this thing that I just got off the conference. Oh, that's what we got on the topic. I was explaining to you why I'm an hour late because I'm a fucking idiot. Yeah. And I had plenty of time to get here. I just wrote down the wrong time because I was focused on this. But the Hot Mic app I think is so cool because all it simply is like you download the app on your phone, you put the phone in front of the TV, whatever game you're going to watch, it syncs up to the sound on that. And then you go back to the app, and you can, instead of listening to the announcers, you listen to, which is why I'll never do a Sunday night game, because as much as I hate Collinsworth, I love Al Michaels. And by the way, the Monday Night Football guys get a bad rap. I think that fucking Booger McFarland's good. But you listen to the commentators you want, say whatever they want, because we've always talked about, I mean, for decades I've talked about this. And it wasn't my idea. It's just common sense to anyone that gambles. Like you watch, perfect example. If you watch Thursday night's football game, where the Saints blow out the Colts.
Sure.
I mean, blow them out. 34-0 while they score a late touchdown to make it 34-7. That's a boring game, right?
Absolutely.
Well, now, Robbie, let's pretend. Let's hypothetically say, first of all, let's say that you bet the Colts getting 9.5 and they're getting killed. So it becomes twice as funny that you were stupid enough to bet that.
Yeah.
But let's say you bet the under on the total. Okay, the under on the total was 47 points. Okay, so now you're watching this game and it's 34-0. You're like, all right, we got it. And then the Colts, now the Saints are up 34-0 with like 7 minutes left, so they don't care about stopping the Colts. So the Colts score a touchdown. Now it's 34-7. That's 41 points. Now if the Colts score another meaningless touchdown, suddenly it's not meaningless.
Right.
And imagine narrating that game.
Yeah.
Like for the guy that had the over. It's never fucking boring. You know what I mean?
You see all the angles of it. You keep it interesting.
The first time, like sometimes I'll bet with Cumia, our boss, Anthony Cumia, and I say boss, but he's one of the nicest guys ever. And we bet a Bills Green Bay game, and he's like, I want to bet with you. I'm like, all right, so we put 100. I don't even remember what it was, but it came down to there were 4 seconds left in the game. And if the Bears scored a touchdown, he wouldn't cover his bet. And Green Bay was up by 3 scores. And with 4 seconds left, I looked at Cumia and said, let me tell you something, Anthony. Now, you're going to lose this bet. And let's pretend I'm the Packers defensive coordinator.
He slowly takes out his gun.
Yeah. I said, you're going to lose this bet. I'm like, let me explain something. Let's say I'm the Packers defensive coordinator, okay? And I've got my defense on the field. I'm telling my defensive players, if anyone gets in the way or tries to make a tackle or dives at a ball and rips his ACL or breaks a finger or gets hurt on a score we don't give a fuck about, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. And they just throw a touchdown to this tight end who's standing all alone with a guy right next to him. And I hit him on the shoulder. I'm like, see, they don't give a fuck about your money. Let's get a drink. But that's what you would get with this app. Just, sitting around with your buddies, like watching me talk about the game. I'm going to try and get my buddy who's a big Saints fan, not Saints, Niners fan. He's a great comedian. You know him, Dustin Hempstead. Do you know him?
I don't know.
I think I've mentioned him because he's an idiot. Like I hang out with him.
It
like
sounds
I do
familiar.
With you.
Yeah, it's
good
also,
guy.
Yeah.
Good guy. So that's the app, and I'm going to do the first game this Sunday.
That's awesome.
When does this air? Today? Tomorrow?
It's
in a
actually
year?
a couple weeks.
Oh, okay, good.
2020. Good. Sorry about that.
No, no problem at all. I mean, because hopefully by then I don't even know what I'm doing. But check out the Hot Mic app. Hopefully by now I'm really up and running with it.
Yeah, do not get the Magic Mic app because I made that mistake and I've been jerking off all week.
All week, and sometimes I use the app. What did he? We're hanging out again, buddy.
Yeah,
why don't we do this at the check-in at the AC?
Better crowd than the.
Tell them how much fun we had gambling in AC, buddy.
We did have a blast.
We did. It was we headed down to AC. Me, Robbie, and Mikey Figs.
Hilarious guy, by the way.
Oh, and here's another thing off topic. That's not off topic, but just remind me of that. Like somebody said they did a show and there were 2 guys that did impersonations that didn't know each other, and the one guy's like getting all pissed at the other guy.
That's
and I'm like,
so funny.
And I'm like, it's like they do that, and I brought up YouTube, but you guys weren't getting pissed. But it's like they.
No, I love Mike. We had a great time together.
But I kept remember you're doing the show, and I'm like, and I'm looking at you, and I'm like, I don't know. I think yours was better, Robbie.
Yeah.
and Biggs isn't getting mad. He's like, what the fuck, mine? I got the heat.
Well, what's so funny was he's a very good sport, but I think in a split second he's like, is this my replacement? Are they bringing in?
He worries so much.
It's like Jon Stewart with Larry Sanders. Yeah. Remember when he comes in and like elbows him out,
But then he started talking about, on that same show, he's like talking about how he made all this money gambling. We're like, what were you playing? He goes, roulette. And me and you were like, what a fag. And we're like, he's like, what do you mean? And me and you were like, blackjack. I said, and it was so perfect. I said, I'm going to call Emilio, the guy, the New York Comedy Club.
Great guy, by the way.
Great guy, runs great clubs up here.
One of the few, like, booker owner most comedy club owners like weirdos and not cool to comics, and you never know where you stand. He's like nice to everybody. Maybe it's phony, but he's like a nice guy.
It's not. I would fight to the death. It's not, because I've always said there are certain bookers that are failed comedians and they're terrible
The
to
worst.
comics. They're the worst.
They're fucking
They look
weirdos.
at you, they're failed. So in order to validate themselves, not being funny, they're like, if I shit on you and make you feel less funny, then I'm funny. You can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah.
But there are other guys, and Emilio's among them. First and foremost, Chris Mazzilli. He did comedy ages ago.
Sure.
Didn't pan out for him. Now he runs a comedy club, and he bends over backwards.
That's great.
For comedians.
Cool.
He's and Emilio used to, what was it called? He had the street team. He ran a street team called Empire.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And he was filling New York Comedy Club for Al Martin, and he's like, why am I filling the room for him? He bought it, and he loves comics so much it became that.
Wow.
And those are the guys that you're like, wow. And
he's doing a great job, by the way. New York Comedy Club, both in New York, are so
yeah.
good.
Fast forward to after that show, I'm like, why don't I just call Emilio and see if he'll put us in the Atlantic City Comedy Club?
Yeah.
And we were booked within the hours. Like, what date you want to do?
That was crazy.
That's
so
how good a guy he is.
Yeah.
Because I didn't say, I need to do Atlantic City. I'm like, I want to take Robbie and Mike down to Atlantic City and just fuck around for a weekend gambling. Okay. He's just like, okay. And
hey, Emilio, we need an excuse.
Yes! Yes! We're looking for a reason to. Where do you want to go? And he's like, how much? I'm like, whatever you can pay me. I'm just gonna split me half, them the other half. We're gonna gamble.
Yeah.
Oh, so I give. So we get some gambling money, and I wasn't drinking then.
Yeah, you
remember?
weren't, but you were still such a good time. By the way.
Oh, dude, I was getting whacked on. But you were drinking, and you weren't hammered or out of control. But you got so fucked up at the end, as you should. We're sitting at a table, and I'd like to think you're hanging out with me, and I'm sober. So you're like, it's like I would tell you if I'm hanging out with someone not drinking, I'm like, I'm gonna do whatever I want.
Sure.
I gotta. And you didn't get drunk and belligerent. You're like one of those happy drunks, and I love that.
Yeah.
My buddy, his name is Anthony Bamba. But we call him Smiling Bamba because when he gets drunk, he's like, Fucking Robbie is so hammered. He's like almost asleep at the table. He's just in a fog. The dealer gives him a 10 and a 9. That's 19. And I say, split him. You remember this?
I do.
And he takes the chip, and the dealer was great. She loved us.
That was a nice.
Yeah. The next night we went back, the dealer sucked, but she was, and I go split him, and Robbie takes the fucking other chip, if you know blackjack, puts it next to the card like he's splitting a 10 and a 9. And the dealer goes, "Oh baby, you're drunk."
And I was like, and that's my cue.
It was but that's a good time.
It was a great time, man.
We're not trying to win a ton, or like if I can just last out these chips. But you ended up winning a little, right?
I did. I won like $20. I'd say
great.
20, 30.
If you lose 50 at a $5 table over 4 hours with all the drinks you're getting,
oh yeah,
and the good time. So it was a great.
I was making money.
Yeah, it's like stealing. Had to fill out a police report.
Yeah, we literally stole money. We literally pulled off a heist.
So fucking funny.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that was a super fun weekend, and Mike Figgs is he's a fun guy too.
Yeah, he's on that show, The Wet Spot, with that I'm doing that I do every. I don't know what.
Is that at the Stand tonight?
That is at the Stand tonight. Back in December.
In December. How'd it go?
It went great. It went great. I ended up banging a hooker and doing cocaine. Trust me. Trust me. You can listen to this any day of the week. And it works.
Certain things are evergreen. Things are evergreen.
Now he's funny. Okay.
Where was this at the blackjack table?
The joke were the cards I was getting. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh boy, you want to see some real comedy?
Give me another 5.
Any New Year's resolutions for you? Because this is, I guess, the New Year's. New Year's episode.
Never make them.
No.
I mean, let me honestly say, has anyone listening? Any of your listeners, either one of you guys, has any... that old gag.
Boom.
Has anyone, like, perfect example, did anyone come up to you last month in November and say, I am killing my New Year's resolution?
No, yeah.
No one.
I actually read that it's actually makes it like long-term. It's bad for long-term goal setting, like to make these like lists of things that you will definitely do in the new year, and they all collapse by the end of the month.
I am 50, but I'll be 51 December 29th. I am 50.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I am 51, and I have never in my life had anyone in March discuss their New Year's resolutions. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, like, how is it still a thing?
I think it's because everyone feels like such shit after the holidays because everyone drinks a little too much and eats a little bit too much.
They're not doing it right. Yeah. Bangs a few too many hookers. Spends a little too much on cocaine.
Gets evicted from their apartment.
Has to go back to the car.
Robs their parents.
Yeah. Everyone, well, go on. What? Nothing.
Didn't you live in your car for a little bit?
I lived out of my car, and I'm not making an excuse. I don't think I can. I can't take the credit for living in my car. Like when the last time I went through a breakup, like, you know, I was living in Brooklyn. And when she's like, look, I'm moving, man. This isn't working. I'm like, all right. And I'm like, I'm not fucking getting another place here in Brooklyn. I didn't have any place I wasn't looking for any place to go. I'm like, so we sold everything, you know, and I took all the shit that I needed. Mm-hmm. It was like becoming minimalist without realizing it. I took everything I needed. I loaded it into my car. And I would drive to my Aunt Olga's in South Jersey, right? Like if I said Jersey, I'd be like, oh, you went over the bridge? No. I would drive 2 hours south to Vineland, New Jersey, stay there, work on the sports sheet, book like a weekend of shows in New York, come back, do that, stay on my friend's couch. If I had a little extra money, I'd get a hotel room that night, you know? And I did that off and on for a year and a half. In between, I had sublets here and there for a month. I'd stay with friends and house sit. But I'm telling you, by the end, this is how great it was. I ended up moving. This was 2013 through mid 2015. Okay, and by the end, like in March and April of 2015, I'm staying in my old neighborhood, and I know all the places. There would be times I'd get back from the city at 4 a.m, and I'm like, "What am I doing? I'm not bothering my friend. And I would sleep in my car for like 4 hours. And I would sleep like a baby.
Oh, my God.
Like a baby. And that's the closest I could come. But this is Brooklyn, and it's not like Bed-Stuy. It is Carroll Gardens. It is the easiest. Like one time, a chick, I swear to God, that I was banging, not at the time, but had banged, walks by my car, wakes me up, and she's like, you're ridiculous. Let's go get coffee. But I mean, and to be able to sleep that peacefully for 4 hours, like, was great. But I like to be able to do that for a year. No, I can't do that. I can't take credit. It's not a thing of embarrassment. It's a point. I can't take the credit for people that can do that, but I will say this and the point was, so Kevin Dombrowski, great comedian. His album's coming out this year. It's called High on Molly. That's his wife. He comes up to me, I'll never forget, in April, 2015. And he's like, yo, we have a place opening up in our 4-bedroom apartment in where I live now in East Harlem. A different place, same neighborhood. He's like, we have a place opening up, a 4-bedroom. You can have one of the bedrooms. He's like, it opens May 1st. And I said, and everything I said, I was getting so much done. I was hanging out at clubs all the time because I had nowhere to go. Right. There was no excuse. I was waking up early, like in my car or on a couch or in a hotel.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah, and I'm like, let me get out of here. I'd go to Starbucks and write.
Where'd you shower?
Or I'd go to the gym and shower.
There you go.
You know what I mean? It was great. It really was. Like, and I was getting so much done. So he's like, I mean, I love how I'm living now. I'll get to that. But he goes, he's like, so place opens up in May. I'm like, can I move in June 1st? And he goes, does your lease run through the end of May? Yeah. And I laugh at him like, oh, you're adorable. I said, and I'll ask him. He will tell you. I said, I need to live like this for one more month. I'm getting so much done. And again, it was May. It wasn't the middle of fucking December.
Sure.
So I'm like, I got to sit in my car a couple more times.
Beautiful.
And I'm like, I got to live like this one more month because once I move in with you, it's going to be back to fucking like drinking and fucking like hanging out. And I still got stuff done and I loved living with him. And, but it was incredible. And this is what I took from that. And I say it like, and I was never poor. I was never broke. I was never, oh my God, what am I always, because I'm lucky. I have friends that'll be like, stay with me right now. To this day, Molly is like, Kevin's wife is like, when we have a kid, we're just getting a room and you're going to stay there. Or my nephew is like, we're going to build a room in the garage and you have to, like, I always have places to stay. I'm very lucky. But it's the thing I learned. It's better than winning the lottery,
right?
To have as little as possible. And I mean it because think about it. Here's my simple logic, and I'm not trying to win this. I'm saying you cannot convince me otherwise. Because let's say you win the lottery, Robbie. Okay, and you have
sounds great.
So you have $15 million, okay? Every time you spend that money, it's just it's coming from a well of you. It's not sourced to anything. Do you know what I mean? Like you didn't earn it. You didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't given to you by a friend, which puts kind of a different weight on it.
Yeah.
It is.
It's magic money.
Yes. It's in fact, it's the opposite to me. It's unmagnetized money. There's no source to it. Okay. But when you are fucking sitting there saying, all right, you know what? I really don't need to get this. And you're only really buying what you need. Having as little money as you possibly need is better because you realize like, what am I stressing about?
Right.
You know,
yeah,
it's
totally.
more freeing than having. And people like make fun of that, but I'm not trying to sell you a Dianetics book after this. I sold you 3 before the show.
Praise Xenu, by the way.
But you just can't convince me otherwise. And it was like I still look back to get back to you. Like, did I ever live in my car? No, I'm a pussy. Yeah. I'm a pussy. I never lived in my car. I kind of lived out of it, though. It was great.
Well, I mean, being that minimalist, that's kind of like how we were almost built to survive in a lot of ways.
Oh.
And that is actually, it's very Buddhist what you're saying, which is like your possessions kind of weigh you down at a certain point, and you like get like, fuck, you're supposed to be.
If you can ever read a book.
This sounds very romantic now. I'm like, God, I got.
By the way,
I'm giving all my shit up.
By the way, I'm never gonna read a book again. This is how I know I'm getting to that age. Like I listen to them on tape, and I can't even get through a whole book. But like like when I moved in a new place in East Harlem, and it's fantastic.
It's a nice place. I've been there.
It's great. It's great. And I told you I got it for my cat.
Yeah.
But when I'm unloading
you're making your own coffee.
Oh, it's coming together.
Listening to lesbian music.
Fingering myself when you walk in. Hold the door.
I'm thinking about Mark.
But what was I gonna say? Oh, but hold on, because I'm looking for something specific. Honest to God, what was I just talking about?
We were talking about your car.
Books.
Books, yeah.
So like when I unpacked, I looked at like the books I'm unpacking, and like I bought them so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, someday I'll read these. It's 20 years later.
Yeah.
I'm 51. And I'm like, I'm never going to read these.
You're never going to read. I have like a whole stack, and I always want to buy more books. I'm like, that looks interesting or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, shit.
Now I'm going to read. Here's the thing. And it just blends. Like
after all this, you just say the Bible.
No, because the Bible, all these religious books, the only book anyone ever needs to read is The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. And this is what he says about houses. Build of your imaginings a bower in the wilderness. Ere you build a house within the city walls. For even as you have a homecoming in your twilight, so is the wanderer in you, the ever distant and alone. Your house is your larger body. It grows in the sun, sleeps in the stillness of the night, and it's not dreamless. Does not your house dream, and the dreaming leave the city for the grove or hilltop? Now, whether you get that or not, here's the line that I love. Would that I could gather your houses into my hand and like a sower scatter them in the forest and the meadow. So it's like a minimalist thing. He's saying like, look, we build these houses and they just become these fucking, these walls enclose us.
Sure.
And that's even like, I love my apartment and it's small. It's a 3-room apartment. It's a kitchen. It's a middle room and a bedroom.
Yeah. It's a nice apartment though in the middle of Manhattan.
But
so,
compared to how I used to live, it's like, well, like what did I do today? Like I went back and I'm like, all right, I got this 12 o'clock conference going. Like, let me go home, sit on my phone, do this thing, relax. But am I relaxing? No, I could have done it anywhere. Come here. It's just like, it sucks you in. And it's a great thing. It's a great thing.
Yeah.
But think about it. I say this all the time. Like, I'll go hang out with my brother. I have one brother, 1.5 years older. Greatest guy in the world. Married. Two kids, my niece and nephew. Think I'm great. And I'll hang out in their house in South Jersey, in Central Jersey. And it's a great house, And I'll sit there and it's just surrounded by love, warmth, family, all that stuff. And it's great. And by day 4, I'm like, I have to get out of this cage or I'm going to wither and die.
Yeah.
And they get it. I'm like, I'm getting stir crazy. And they, but some people are made for that, And as comics, I don't think we are. Yeah. Were you like that? I mean.
No. I mean, when people talk, and I'm getting sort of the age where I'm starting to have friends that are getting married and stuff. Not that many, but a few. But and it's like. Yeah,
well, it's legal now for you people. Yeah. I called him a queer.
So being gay is weird.
So you're at the age your friends are getting married.
Well, and it's like I just want to put it off as much as possible. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm calculating what is the latest age I can get married. You know what I mean? Like I'm already thinking that. But I'll meet the guy of my dreams.
Yeah,
I'll meet the boy of my dreams.
It comes to you. It does.
Yeah.
But it is. It's like I just never thought of myself in that normal 9-to-5 life and stuff. And then you wind up, you're like, all right, I get it now. This is where you're supposed to be the whole time, Well,
that's the kind of the fuel of the comedians who I think who are in it to win it, really. It's like even more than like wanting to be a comedian. and like thinking it's like your thing, it's like not wanting to have a day job is like such a fuel for like what, like, because I'm not meant for it, you know. I mean maybe I'd get used to it if I got like a good one and could quit comedy, but the thought of being able to like, you know, do what you do and just like make money off comedy, completely not need one, that's like the dream for sure. To me, that's like when people are like, what's your definition of success? That's what I say. I say I just want to be able to make a living off comedy.
Yeah, it's like you don't realize, and I said that was I haven't told this story in ages, but it's another one of those, like, I'm into all this shit. Like, I'm not like I don't meditate, but I believe, like, I even start to talk about it in my act now. Like, again, we're all energy. That's a fact. Everything that makes up you, me, this computer, like in the act, I'll be like, everything that makes up you, me, your HIV meds.
Yeah.
But it's a fact. We're all energy,
yeah.
Okay? And when you vibrate, so it's another fact of physics, like attracts like. So if you vibrate at the same frequency at something, they attract. That's a fact, okay? Sure. And it's even, I turned it into a joke, but that's how you met my cat. Like, that's how I wound up with my cat. I didn't think I needed a cat. A year ago, I'm subletting a place right before I moved in, and this cat, and like, and again, I'm living like that minimalist life, and I'm in a great spot, you know. And I find this cat, but wait, what was I saying? Okay, so
you're like a Spartan.
Very Spartan, and that's just my way of not buying shit to decorate my apartment with. But that was my point. So this was years ago, and it's like you can never figure out what you want till you lose everything. And be like, and you know, like you're going for things you think you want, right, that you're supposed to have.
Yeah.
And it's when I realized that, it's like, I'll never forget. I opened for Artie Lange, and Artie's doing great.
That's great. That's
Artie's
good
doing
to hear.
great. Like over the past year, I've said not terrible things about him, but I just attacked him because he's my friend.
I remember, you know? We're in a video together where his fans hate him.
Yeah. Things merch is half off, like Artie's nose. But I said that to him at a roast.
Come on, Geno.
But we hang out now, and I'm like, and I look at him like a 5-year-old. I'm like, I got my Artie back. I waited. He's back. It's him.
He's so sharp. I mean, and I don't know him like you
do,
go
on. He's so sharp.
As a fan, it's like, because I listened to a bunch of incarnations of his previous like every podcast he released before, he was clearly on drugs, and it was not the Artie from the Stern show.
Rambling, same joke, all that.
Clearly, like, it was just weird. I was like, this isn't it. But this new podcast that he's doing, that you were just on, he's super sharp, and he was great on Rogan, and like, it's like, oh shit, the Artie from Stern is back.
Yeah, it's his
night and day.
It's that energy we talked about, you know, like, and I would always justify it like this, and I've said it before. Artie is the most loyal guy in the business. Yeah. He is, which why everyone loves him so much. But when Artie was on heroin, he was loyal to heroin, and he would shit on you to get the heroin because the heroin was his best friend, he thought, you know. But I'm getting off topic. Back to the compliment for Artie. So I'm working with Artie years ago, Caroline's, and then he's like, let's go to the cellar, you know, let's go to the cellar, grab a drink. So I go to the cellar, and he bumps into Chris Rock. So I'm sitting at a table. This was like 2013. I'll never forget. I'm sitting at a table across from Artie to my left and Chris Rock to my right.
That's cool.
And I'm watching the football game because Northwestern fucked up the cover against Ohio State. But I'm looking at these two guys, right?
Yeah.
And this is what you always think. You always think, you know, getting to New York, at least I did. You probably figured it out sooner. It's like, well, I'm moving to New York to be rich and famous. That's why I moved to New York.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm like, look at me. Like, these guys are millionaires. Well, I'm like, I've been in New York 13
That's how I feel when I hang out with Mike Figg.
Oh, he's got to listen to this with us sitting on either. Here's the next thing. Let's book another road gig together so he can listen to this. Sit in the front seat, have him in the back.
You motherfuckers. I was listening to what you said. I couldn't believe it. But you know what? Funny shit, man. That's funny shit.
That's
I love you guys. But fuck you, honestly. But I love you guys.
We got to do this. We are doing this. We're hanging out somewhere and listening. Because he will love that.
Yeah.
If you don't know who Mike Figgs is, follow him. He's on all the tweets and stuff. Great dude. Does great stuff.
Hosted for the weekend, I guess.
Oh, so I'm sitting there saying, and I said, look at me. I've been in New York 13 years, you know. And I've been in New York doing stand-up for 13 years, and I'm barely paying my bills, right? Mm-hmm. And the universe, you cannot convince me otherwise. But a voice said to me, and I don't mean like a voice, but like the little voice in your head, or maybe, I don't know what it was.
It was Chris Rock's voice.
It was Chris Rock. Man,
what are you doing over here? You were in 13 years, can't pay your bills.
That was it. And then the voice just repeated, then a voice said, say what you just said again. Without the word barely. I've been up here 13 years doing comedy, paying my bills.
Yeah.
And
wow.
It was that. And the universe person's like, all right, so you get it. Yeah. What do you want to do? What do you want to do up here? Don't you want to tell jokes and pay your bills? Yeah. Then shut the fuck up. Now you get it.
Right.
And that was it. And I never. And it's like, all right, if that's all that's all. It's what you said.
Yeah.
You just want to fucking be able to support yourself, making people laugh. What's fucking better than that?
Well, you're so rare that you're great at looking at. That's positive thinking, and
Yeah.
you're really good at that. And I am. When I talk to my therapist, he'll tell me back, I'll like, oh, well, if you could look at it this way. And I'm always like, well, no, because it's like this, and I suck, and my life is fucking shitty, and I'm bad. But you can look at it. I mean, that's if I would love to get to a point. I'm sure there's people who are looking at what I did this year. It's like, oh, man, he got into Skankfest, all these like, cool things or whatever, featured for you, all this stuff.
Well, yeah, put that right on the resume.
Yeah. Featured for nameless headliner.
You featured for Geno when he wasn't drinking. What's the point of hanging out? That's the most boring gig ever.
No, it ruled. You're the only guy who stopped drinking and still hung out till like 5 a.m. every night.
I like people a lot.
That rules. But I love that you can that's cool that you could be like, take barely out of it, because I'm definitely the guy who'd dwell on that and be like, oh fuck, look at this. This is, but what's also great is what you said that about Artie and Chris Rock. Now and then comedy does kind of throw you a little like, hey, what you're doing is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
On a bone,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like for me to meet those celebs, they have to get Me Too'd first, They
have to be like, look, this is the only spot I could get.
I have to shake hands with Robbie Goodwin.
I'm doing Victoria's Free House in Philly. But you know what? It's like, I always say it's like I'm 50. I've gotten more reps in at it. I'm good at what I do.
You're great on stage, man.
But it's not just the comedy. It's the philosophy part of it. Living your life like that. It's like when I was younger, I'm like, what am I fucking doing? And I still have lapses where I melt down and want to kill people, but eviscerate people on Twitter. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why are you taking it? Because it's negative.
Well, you've only been banned twice.
four times. But
I think I just found your alt account today. So
Diamond Eugene 1. That's my Twitter now. Have fun with that for the week. Well, right now people are like, why is this suspended?
Yeah.
Because it's a month later. But it's like anything else, and I tell this to people, and it's, again, nothing. It's just something that you need to hear, but we already know it. The more you like something, the more you do it. Mm-hmm. The more you do something, the better you get at it.
That's true.
The better you get at something, the more you can get paid for it because you're better than other people.
That's true.
That's
hopefully.
That's the answer I've been giving people. Because I always wanted to get on stage. I always wanted, how do I do it? It's like, and we've done it. We've been like, you just have to get on stage. Mm-hmm. I don't have time for you to ask me all this stuff, like just stalling, because you don't know if you have the balls to do it.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm like, look, you just start doing it. Well, look, and then I say that. I'm like, the more you love something, the more you do it.
I love that. You're like the opposite of Tim Dillon, who's like, what's your 5-year plan? That's not going to work out. Get out now. Go to the grocery store. Get a job. Get a family. Become a manager of something.
Oh, he's the best.
We don't need more of you.
We don't need more. I don't even want to do this in 5 years.
All right. Thanks for the advice, Tim.
Thanks, Tim. Here's a knife. What?
Here's a pill of cyanide. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
You're a smart kid.
Now, come on. Let me just fondle your balls a little bit.
I think he's doing our show tomorrow or Friday.
Oh, he's like an incredible comedian. He's like one of the funniest
They just played
guys.
one of his clips on Rogan. Like, I don't know, he's doing impersonations now, or not impersonations like you do. He's like doing characters.
I'm just saying,
he's doing skits.
Yeah.
You should use this in your skit.
He's doing one of your little skits.
Yeah, you should use this in your skit. What are you, 70?
I said this on an earlier episode, but it's so funny. My mom, like, through asking how I am and what I'm doing, she's like learning more and more about comedy, but she still asks, like, why don't you just do the Daily Show?
One of my best friends in the world, his mother's like, when are you going to, and this is how long I've been doing it, why don't you just get on Rosie O'Donnell?
My God.
What are you talking about? That's how long it's been. That's how long you've been up here, since 2001. I
Mom,
just keep waiting for you to do Rosie O'Donnell.
Her enemy's the president.
Yeah. But this was like in the 2000s, and to them it's just,
so
why don't you
funny.
do Rosie O'Donnell?
Yeah.
Why don't I?
It must seem so easy to everyone else. Like, maybe, but honestly, in the 80s, that's probably how it was. Like, you know what I mean? Like in the 80s, I always hear like Mark Maron, like I'll listen to Maron or whatever, and they'll be like,
I haven't listened to him in ages. He's great. I just get overwhelmed. I keep interrupting you. Go on.
But yeah, he always has like someone on. They're always like, how'd you start, man? And they're always like, well, I did one open mic at the Improv, and the Booker saw me, and 2 sets later, I was on the Tonight Show. And it's like,
insane.
wow, like Jesus Christ, like because there was only like 20 comedians back then.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, there were 20 comedians worth knowing. Now, I say this all the time, and it's Milton Berle in 1930.
Huge penis.
Huge penis. Was sitting there with his giant dick talking to, I don't know, let's say red buttons. And every comic says this. It's changed so much the past 10 years. And it does.
10 years, yeah.
The industry changes so much
from
the past
when
10
I
years.
started.
Yeah,
The dream I was kind of sold is kind of dead a little bit. I mean, what people's,
Or that you sold yourself on.
Yeah, maybe, but
no one put a gun to you and said, "Go up there for this reason."
But every nobody asked me to get on stage. Literally never.
People have asked me to get off, but no one asked me to get on. Robbie, it's on.
Many TripAdvisor reviews have told me to get off stage.
Were you there when we were reading those?
No, I wasn't. But I think I googled your name in one.
I did a set. I got to get the video footage from Berg, because we do this thing called Comedians of the Compound, which is because I'm on Compound Media, the show in Hot Water. We talked about it.
Yeah.
And we get all the comics from, and we go to a venue, and the last one we did, it's so rock and roll, at the risk of sounding like 80, because think about it, it's all our fans, right? Mm-hmm. And we're in White Plains. It was a couple weeks ago in December. It was this past weekend, but we'll say a couple weeks ago. And we're at the White Plains Comedy Club, and all our fans are there. And it's Dave Cumio, Anthony Cumio opens it up, welcomes them. Then we have Chrissy Mayer and Dave Landau and Larry Bea and me and Berg, and the crowd's loving it. We're signing fucking autographs and calendars, people, and it's great. But that's not the story that I wish. So, and then I do a show at a bar the next night in Fidei, and it's barely anyone. It's like 15 people.
Yeah.
To my right are 3 kids in their early 20s, 2 black kids, 1 Asian kid, and my act talks about, and they love it. In the back, 3 old white women, and they love it. So people get it. I do acts about race and religion and the Holocaust, and at one point I say in my set, and this is the perfect way to explain what I'm doing here, I say if people don't laugh at these jokes, then they're the assholes that, one, don't think comedy is art. Yeah. And it is. And what we're doing, Robbie, is fucking art. Do you understand? And I say it, this is the joke, but you don't need, I'm not trying to make you laugh, because it's also a fact. You could write a book about the Holocaust, okay? Mm-hmm. And I've read countless, okay? And I jerk off repeatedly. I've read, that's in the, but I'm like, and I'm like, here's the joke, how I say it, but it's also a fact. You could write a book about the Holocaust, okay? Yeah. Which everyone should read, because it's about the lowest point in human history. And if you fucking, if you don't forget history, you're doomed to repeat it. I'm like, by the way, if you want, and no one ever gets this, I'm like, by the way, if you want to read a book about the Holocaust, they're all in the nonfiction section. See, you get it. A couple people get it, but that builds into the joke. And I say, for those of you who didn't get that, a lot of people think the Holocaust didn't happen. I said, obviously it happened. Otherwise, what am I jerking off to? Right? But I'm not trying to do my bit, but I'm very proud that I'm making these dumb jokes. I'm saying something brilliant in the dumbest way, or something dumb in the most brilliant way.
Yeah.
But that's a fact. You can write a book, and it's a work of art. You can paint a picture, like Picasso's Guernica, his greatest work of art ever. It commemorates the bombing of the city of Guernica by the Nazis.
Right.
Okay. He actually said during it, when someone said, "Did you do this?" and he said to the German, he's like, "No, you did." Okay. Mm-hmm. But in the joke, I'm like, bombing of the city of Guernica in Spain. It probably happened at 3 p.m. That's when those lazy spicks need a nap. Why? So just to keep it on point. But my point. But if you write a book, if you tell a joke about these horrible things, trying to bring them up, communicate the art in the most beautiful way possible through laughter, not trying to make you fucking sick to your stomach, not trying to fucking make you cry, which are both fucking great emotions, but trying to make you laugh that's terrible. You want no. So I do the joke, and and I don't even get to the second 2 parts. I'm like, otherwise what am I jerking off to, right?
Right.
And people are laughing, and Berg is filming this. It's great. People are laughing, and then some old white guy in the back, I'm not making it up. And this is my problem. There's probably a 1% chance this is the guy, but 99% of the chance this is what I see when an old white guy boos. I'm like, obviously, you were very big on segregation in the 50s. You know what I mean? You probably fucking voted for David Duke. You probably used the word colored in everyday conversation.
Right.
And this is you really fucking, justifying. And he booed after I say all this stuff. After I say what I said earlier, if someone tries to make you laugh in this day and age, which it's a fact that it heals you. Yeah. It's a fact. It's a fact.
Sure.
If someone tries to take that healing laughter from you, it should be a hate crime. Mm-hmm. And while people are laughing, he boos and everyone stops. And this is the beauty of whatever point I was making. If it was 10 years ago, and I didn't know who I was, I'd be like, I got to save this room. I'm like, let's lean into this. Let's polarize the room. And I did. I kept just fucking doing all these jokes. You know what I mean? And that guy was getting mad. And his wife's like, "You're not funny." I'm like, "You're a bitch." I said, "You're a bitch," which is terrible. Really? I'm not trying to win this. I'm like, "You're a bitch. You're making these people upset." You know what I mean? And by the end, I had one joke and this is why I wanted, where they're booing. Like people are booing, not the whole crowd, but it's like they're polarized and half the people. And I stuck out after that. I stuck around after that show, sitting at the bar. And by the way, the bartender's like, bartender's like, "That was great." Wow. Because they watch it, it's like because there's nothing. Nothing galls me more than young comics that are like, "Oh, I'm edgy." You can't be edgy. You can't pretend to not give a fuck. You have to have been shit on so long. You have to have seen so much. You have to have seen people that get shit just for what they look like. And I'm not begrudging them that. Sure. God bless them. Fucking, let me tell you, if the industry came up to me and said, "We need a 50-year-old loud Italian guy, to fucking do Shakespeare and we'll pay you $1 million," I'm doing Shakespeare. And every actor in the world's like, "This guy sucks." Yeah. Okay, but I just have no time.
I would love to see loud Italian Shakespeare.
To be or not to fucking be?
To fucking be.
Are you asking me? That's the question.
You talking to be?
That's good. But I stuck around because I didn't want the people that came up that did and be like, "You were great." I'm like, I know I'm great because I'm making a point. I don't have time for these comedians like, "I'm edgy." You have to fucking genuinely not care. Or should I say you have to genuinely care about the point you're making to be able to say the things you say. Sure. Dark or not. And be like, I'm not just saying, "Oh, the Holocaust. Oh, did I shock you?" No. I'm putting it in your fucking face. Because if you sit there and say, "Yeah, I don't want to talk about the Holocaust," well, you've probably never been to the Holocaust Memorial. You've probably never been to Anne Frank's house in Amsterdam. You probably never read Elie Wiesel's Night. You probably don't masturbate to the sound of music. I don't care. I don't care. But that's what
you probably never texted Hitler like I did.
Yeah. These are the people. And this is why it drives me insane. Because they're terrible. They go this like, I'm going to fix everything by not laughing. Die. Get out of the way and die. Yeah. Because not only are you, and I say, like, you have two choices in every moment. You've heard me say that you can choose joy or you can choose fear. And these people want you to be afraid to laugh because they have a problem with it. I agree
with that, yeah.
You don't have a choice. I just stated a fact.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? I'm not yelling, but that's where, and Berg was dying. He's like, "I recorded it. We're showing it on the show Monday. And we're showing it, and we're like 5-year-olds. Like, this is great.
That's awesome.
Like, it's like
I got to check that out.
It's like the people that are booing, it's like, no. And you can boo, but and they think, what are they? They think they're accomplishing something. And I'll say it again, I don't get booed. You know me, but
unless you're in a haunted house.
I saw more. That was the most booze I'd seen since my liver the night before. But I'm at a point in my life where it's like, I know, it just fucking hardens you to the fact, like, I know what I'm doing now.
Sure, yeah, totally.
And it's like when I get to make people laugh in the most difficult possible, I win. And it's become a war. It's like in this day and age, Hannah Gadsby is a genius. By the way, somebody showed me this. Oh, Michael Malice. Like, it just Hannah Gadsby comedy special is a disgrace. Yeah. It's terrible.
It's tough.
And I've said this before, it's not her fault.
Oh,
yeah.
Blue?
It's not her fault because we have to be funny. We're white. I'm fucking 50. Yeah. We're white, straight. Why'd you wink? We're white. Never gets old. When we get off stage, there's 800 white male comedians. They're like, all right, but when Hannah Gadsby, every time she told a fucking joke, she fit 19 fucking boxes. She's ugly. I enjoyed saying that. She's mannish. She's a lesbian that was raped with glasses. Like, and she's self-deprecating. All these things, like, so she's the funniest person of her kind because she's the only one of her kind.
Right.
So she kept getting pushed through, and then it dawned on her in the middle of a special. And then she gives would people stop getting raped during our podcast?
Another Amber Alert came.
How many women are in my car right now? Excuse me, my apartment right now. So then she sits
That'd be funny if you only get texted through Amber Alerts.
I didn't get
What is it this time?
Oh, there it is. Oh, a snow squall warning. Slow down. Really? My apartment just skid off the road. But that's the thing. So but here's my point. This is how the media is just full of shit. If you look at the review of her special, on fucking Rotten Tomatoes, you know what the critics rating is?
I'm sure 100%.
It is 100%.
Yeah.
You know what the people that watched it? You know what their rating is?
What?
21 snowflakes. 21%.
Yeah.
So 80%, like 4 out of every 5, I think it was all dentists. 4 out of 5 people didn't recommend it.
Yeah.
It's a terrible fucking special that's not funny. It's not.
It was just the one that everyone came up to me in Brooklyn parties, like when that came out, like, "Oh, you're a comedian? Have you seen Nanette? It's amazing." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's not my thing."
It's a disgrace.
And then the Chappelle special got like 18% because it like didn't fit with like the narrative or whatever. And it's like, this is like the greatest thing I've seen all fucking year. This Chappelle special.
People are trying to decide what we get to laugh at, and you don't.
Yeah.
And I'll say it again. It's becoming a war. It's like, I'm going to say these jokes. Well, you're terrible. No.
Yeah. And
I'm winning.
And Shane Gillis is our Franz Ferdinand.
Oh.
They killed him.
Yeah. Franz Ferdinand is a band. You're saying Prince Ferdinand, right?
No, Franz Ferdinand was also a guy.
No, but the Archduke Ferdinand.
Franz Ferdinand, yeah.
Oh, his first name was Franz?
Yeah.
You're sure? That's who the band's named after?
I'm 100% sure.
Right. Well, I'm 21%.
Because I tweeted that out. Full disclosure, and I had to say, not the band.
Oh, that's so funny. Because I just know Archduke Ferdinand.
No, they named the band after the guy.
Obviously.
Look, when I was in middle school, I heard of the band first, too. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, and that's another
World
thing.
War Funny.
He gets banned for saying chink, and they book, and who gets the job? A chink who's not funny.
Yeah.
You know, but he I'll tell you this, he's Asian and gay. Well, that's not comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody said it perfectly. This is what they want now, clapter.
Right.
They want, I don't care what race, religion, what you are. I just want you to fucking make me laugh, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, whenever someone's like, oh, Amy Schumer's not funny, I'm like, well, you're looking at the wrong thing. Like she's young. She was funny, but they brought her up too fast because she's too perfect. She had the perfect look.
Yeah.
She's cute. She's not hot.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And she had great stuff, but they just rushed her through. But I always say, let me give you some names. Jessica Kirsten, her special just came out. Marina Franklin, Lori Martin, who are they? Hilarious women that don't have the fucking look Comedy Central needs. They're just too busy like us. I guess I just got to be fucking hilarious.
Right, yeah.
And they fucking are.
Yeah.
And there's so many more, God
that's
forgive
why,
me.
But those women you just named are funny because they look like they've been through some struggle. The thing is, like, a lot of, like, what Comedy Central wants is people who, like, I've said this before, they all look like they skateboard. They're all, like, 28 and, like, have big glasses.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, a hoodie like I'm wearing now, but they pull it off better.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's all just like one. It's like Kurt Metzger called it 50 Shades of Alt, which is like, that's like, and, but yeah, like, I mean, Jessica Kirsten's so funny because you're like, you can see like the pain, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And whereas a lot of people that are being pushed through, it's like, oh, they just look like actors that could be cast in sitcoms.
When I was a kid, but not a kid, when I first got up here, I'm just being nostalgic. Like you wanted, like the Comedy Cellar was a different place. 2001, I got up here. You wanted to sit at that comics table, like the closest I'll ever get to being called over by Johnny Carson was the time I was sitting there, like 2002, and Patrice O'Neill says something, and I say something back, and he just starts laughing. He's like, "Come here, I want to fucking talk to you about that." And me and him start busting our friend Carrie Carafas' balls. And I was passed at the Cellar for a whole month, and then I just fucking, you know, it's like I just got mad because like you're too edgy,
right?
And I was wrong. But all I heard in that moment is, look, we're trying to book all these young, clean comics so we can staff, you know, this week at the Cellar,
right?
Which is great. Right. But they went from being the comedy place to a fucking brand now, and good for you, good for you. But that's not comedy's not a brand. Comedy's you're laughing or you're not. Mm-hmm. That's fucking it. Why are you yelling so much, Robbie?
Yeah, trying to get booked to the Cellar. Gnome, I love you. I will do anything for you.
I just said it's a great club, but I can't work there.
Yeah.
They won't let me. They keep throwing me out, escorting. I'm kidding.
Yeah. I'm 86th. Cancel culture at it again. So I do want to ask you, how is Artie doing, by the way? Is he doing good?
As best as I can tell. Like, you know, I saw him. I did his podcast, episode 4, Halfway House. If you can take a peek at any of them, he's had some great people on. But look, I just base it on the, you know, what I see. And he looks great, and he's got a guy that's, you know, keeping an eye on him and stuff. And I even said to him when I bumped in, we did the roast a couple weeks ago at Gotham, the roast of O.J. Anderson, and you know, Artie's there. He's on
That's
it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was great. And I see the guy like watching Artie. I'm like, I just want to thank you. I'm like, I haven't thanked you yet for what you're doing. He's like, dude, I love doing it. You know.
Yeah.
So Artie's got a guy. You know, and he not only like he was supposed to do this podcast I'm doing later. I'm doing Kevin Dombrowski's. He's like, Artie couldn't do it, but Artie called Kevin. He's like, look, dude, between this guy watching me and my probation and all this stuff, he's like, yeah, we're like, so you're canceling because you're keeping straight and narrow? Yeah, okay.
That's great.
Thank you. That's great.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he used to like. I remember on Stern, he'd always be like, "Yeah, I'm definitely gonna relapse because I got shows this weekend or whatever." And it's like, dude, cancel your shows. Yeah, so that's good that he's like, and even like recently, like it seemed like he was trying to keep clean and going back, and then like whenever he had cellar spots and he was like going up at like 2 a.m., that's when he was like high or whatever.
Yeah,
basically.
well, he was never clean. He was never. Don't kid yourself. And I don't mean that as a mean way. Like he was, I'm fine. No. Like, even, and when he was doing that podcast at the end, the Under Quitter, all the enablers just coming out. It's like, it was so obvious the day he fucking, fucked up his nose. I'm like, he's on fucking cocaine. He did something to his nose. Like, nah, it's just an infection. He snorted glass, But fast forward to now, kudos to Artie. They're like, why don't you get that fixed? He's like, well, one, if I get it fixed, he said this on Rogan, so it's not like this is something we were hanging out saying. He's like, if I get it fixed, I got to be on painkillers. I can't be on painkillers.
Makes sense.
And some people are like, yeah, but they have stuff. And he's like, two, I need to look in the. He's like, and this is what I love. He said, I'm not getting it fixed for a year. I want to be a year clean before I get it fixed. Which as a gambler, I think he's committed.
Yeah,
that's an investment. He's like, and all I'm doing now is looking in the mirror saying, wow, look at what you did. And sometimes we got to do that,
Definitely. Yeah. He took you on the road when you were younger, right?
I owe so much to the guy, and I'll say it again. That's why I used to get so mad. He's the reason I get on stage so easily in L.A. It's like years ago. He's like, this is Artie. This is another example of how great he is, how loyal he is. Like, I bumped into him at Caroline's years ago, and it was like another time he just came back. He was just getting back into it after that stabbing and shit, after he stabbing like he was a victim.
Yeah.
He was, what I mean? And he's like, you could just tell he's doing great. And he's like, dude, I'm like, I just came to see you, say, hey, check. He's like, dude, it's great seeing you. I just got a bunch of shows in my book. I want to take you with me on. So I'm like, okay. And before I can even walk away, he yells, Sully. That's the guy, his handler back then. Sully, come here. Like, he booked me. He's like, where am I? He's like, who's on the Houston? Not you. He's like, who's on the Detroit show? He's like, nobody. You're on it. He's like, who's on the Milwaukee show? Nobody. You're on it. He's like, who's on this show? Somebody's like, all right, do those two. He's like, and then Artie says, he's walking away. He's like, oh, and I'm doing LA in July. You should come with me. And that's what he said in hindsight. And I'm like, oh, he goes, I'm doing the Nokia in July. You should come with me.
The Nokia.
So I'm like, okay. So then a week later, I do his show back when he was doing the direct TV show. Okay.
Right, yeah.
And this clip is probably up somewhere. And he's like, Geno's doing some shows with me. And I'm like, yeah, we're in Detroit, we're in Milwaukee, and we're doing the Nokia in LA. He's like, you're not on the Nokia in LA. And I'm like, no, you gave me those 3 at Caroline's. Remember, he's like, I know I gave you the 2. I'm like, and then I literally said, I'm like, look, Artie, you're a great guy. I'm sure you just said it and forgot, or maybe he's like, no, just come to LA with me. He's like, just come to LA with me.
Oh, wow.
So the week before or the month before, I'm calling every club in LA, and I'm like, hey, it's Geno Bisconte. And while they're saying, who the fuck is Geno Bisconte? In the next breath, what am I saying? I'm opening for Artie at the Nokia. Just wondering if I could you do some spots at your club to get ready for it. And so, fast forward 6 years later, all the bookers have changed, but there's still like 2 or 3 clubs. I'm still doing the Improv, still doing the Ice House. It's fucking great.
Honestly, those are two of the best clubs.
And that's because of Artie. Don't kid yourself. It's like, don't get me wrong. I had the act years before that to get on those stages, but
sure.
But I used his name, and then you're like, oh yeah,
LA really cares about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, are you somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's because of him, So
that's great. That's really cool, man.
Yeah, but it's all part of the path.
Sure.
All part.
Yeah.
It's all the rich tapestry.
Yeah. You love a good tapestry.
Yeah,
we all do.
I'll
remark on this too. Speaking of your act, I think you have a great. Where I'm still getting like check spots or whatever, and those are really hard for me. And you had a great check spot joke. Like, I mean, I watched you do. It was kind of good education. Like watching you do like 3. Basically rallying drunk people 3 shows in a row because like, oh, this is what he's doing during the checks. He has a little speech and then a bit about tipping. Like built in there.
Let me tell you that it's the equivalent of, you ever heard of obviously you have, it's Semisonic is the band, but they're one hit wonders with their song Closing Time.
Right.
Because that song was written for when they were performing at bars and the night was over. Close one more to clear them out. So when I'm doing that, not only am I fucking, just handling the checks, I'm telling them to tip the wait staff.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't do this on purpose, but the wait staff would always be like, Geno's great. We got to have him back to this club. We make so much money.
Smart.
Yeah, and I'd love to sit there and say that was my plan, but it wasn't. It just kind of blossomed out of it,
Yeah.
Like, it's on my first album, so I only do it when I'm like on the road and it's that obvious with the checks, but it works.
Oh, yeah.
It's true. It's like, tip them. You tip all these other idiots, like, tip them.
Yeah. I still think you've already burned the joke.
Yeah.
But I still think about, like, why do we tip baristas? All you did was pivot.
Turn and pivot. Then you look at a hot chick like you do. Work on the poles, Cinnamon. So good. It's so stupid and and they're like, we should tip better.
Yeah. Let me see if I had anything else for you real quick.
Take your time,
thanks,
buddy.
Man. So you were on the roast of Rich Vos. Was it hard for you to think of something funny to say about Rich Vos?
I wasn't on the roast of it. I wrote a lot of jokes for it. So it was easy, but I wrote the jokes for him. So I didn't have to write anything funny about Rich Vos.
Oh, there you go.
I think the best
Rich Vos.
I think the
Did
best.
you have to put a lisp into all of your jokes? You had to put a T.
I didn't have any jokes with the TH. It was the best one I wrote about that was I'm like Jay Okerson performs everywhere wearing shorts. He performs on stages all over wearing shorts. Hey, you want to know another place you can wear shorts, Jay? The gym. The gym.
Take that, Big J. Friend of the show, Big J Okerson.
Oh, he's the best.
He's a great guy.
He just had a birthday last month, December 7th.
Oh.
Which was a long time ago.
Not good enough of a friend to invite me.
He didn't have a party. I just texted him. I don't think.
Oh, that's great, though. That's cool. You also did the rock and roll roast of D. Snyder. Did you write for that one, too?
I wrote for that. Everything. Here are some of the roasts I've done. I just did the roast of O.J. Anderson, where I met Lawrence Taylor.
Okay.
And just O.J. Anderson's a douche. He's one of those. It's not his fault. I mean, it's his fault, but it's one of those guys. Like, I don't think he understood they were gonna make fun of him.
Sure.
So he's like he's giving you dirty looks on the days. You can find this online. Google Geno Bisconte roast of Dennis Rodman. I roasted Dennis Rodman.
That sounds great.
It was great.
Yeah.
I was great, but it was easy to be great because Dennis Rodman.
He's a ridiculous person.
He's a ridiculous, but he's also a great person. Everything I said, Google it when you get a chance because it comes right up. Everything I say, he's laughing. Everyone's like, this guy's great. Dennis loves this guy. You know, but he loved everybody.
That's great. Cool.
Oh, dude,
that's kind of nice to hear.
Oh, dude, I had a line about him, and I go, since you've gotten out of, normally when great athletes retire, they go right into the announcer booth or into coaching. I'm like, all you've done the past 10 years is 2 terrible movies and The Celebrity Apprentice. I said, the only thing in pro sports lazier than you is Stuart Scott's left eye.
Oh.
He lost his mind. It was so great. And the one I did, and this is the thing, like, while Otis Anderson is Lawrence Taylor just loved being made fun of. For those of you who don't know, Lawrence Taylor got a hooker once, and she turned out to be 16. Again, not his fault. I mean it. Like, if you have a problem with guys getting hookers, well, I can't defend that. I have no problem with it. It's not like he said, I want a 16-year-old hooker.
Right.
He's like, I want a hooker, and then he finds out 16 when he gets caught. And he was on probation, all that stuff. But this was years ago, and I'm like, and Jackie the Joke Man was on the roast, and I'm like, I'm surprised Jackie the Joke Man is on the roast. He just tells jokes, and I was specifically told with Lawrence Taylor here not to tell any 16-year-old jokes.
Oh,
Lawrence Taylor, he takes his belt off, makes it into a noose, and starts walking towards me with a smile. And I'm like, LT, it's a joke. And he just starts laughing. And but I'm like, he's playing along. And I'm like, it's a joke, buddy. It's a joke. And he's like, And it was so funny. And the crowd's, so of course the crowd's going nuts. But when I'm telling a joke and O.J. Anderson's like, with his hat on, why are they making fun of me? Look, I'm sorry that we're here with the greatest defensive player of all time telling jokes about you, you old fuck.
Yeah.
But
it
wasn't
that.
Why
even do a roast if you're going to be sensitive?
And it wasn't that bad. But you're a comic. It's like, what are you doing here?
I think they just think they're going to get attention, and they don't realize that any meanness is going to come.
Oh, and then Howard Cross, the tight end, is there. And he didn't. He's like, oh, I'm just going to, all these athletes that just, anyone that has to bring paper up here isn't really funny. I'm like, ugh, right?
Yeah.
So I get up there, I'm like, Howard Cross had 17 was a Giants great tight end. I said he was one of the greatest Giants tight ends ever. He had 17 career touchdowns, or as Rob Gronkowski calls it, 2011. Fucking, he didn't like that, but I loved it.
That's too bad. All right, man. I think we can wrap it up. I don't know. Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, man. Do you have anything to plug? This will come out in 2 weeks, probably.
Everything just go to GenoBisconte.com. Follow me on Twitter at DiamondEugene1. But if you Google Geno Bisconte comedian, everything comes up.
Great.
Because there's, even if somebody said it once, you could go out of your way. It's GenoBisconte. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Because you can go out of your way. I've had people spell JENOVIS, and they're like, you mean this guy.
Yeah.
As long as you put comedian, they'll be like, you mean this guy. No one can spell his name because no one knows who the fuck he is.
I just Google loud Italian guy.
Loud Shakespeare in the Park, comma, loud Italian.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for being here. And
thanks for making it work. Sorry I was late, buddy.
No problem. Thank you for coming. All right, and Happy New Year, everybody. See you next week.
All right.